Hi, welcome to the month ahead. This is Joan, and with me is Juno of Junosphere. Want to say hello?
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all.
We're excited to be here and to talk about July, the month ahead. There's so much to get into. Especially Juno, has been doing a lot of research about July, which is named after Julius Caesar. Former emperor and a Roman general before he was emperor. So there's lots to get into. Juno, do you want to give kind of a rundown on? I see that you have both the crystals and the cards for July.
I do. And just a couple little things about July. Interesting thing I found out was up until 1800, it was pronounced Julie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like when you hear people down south saying July, it's coming from that Julie. And July is associated with the healing properties and sanctity of water, which I thought was really excellent for what we're going through right now with all the emotions being high. The crystals that I have, this one here is a carnelian heart. I'll see if you can see it any better in the camera. It's just a beautiful, this one actually came from Madagascar.
Ooh.
And it's a beautiful, deep, like reddish brown color. And carnelian is about creativity, vitality, regeneration, and sexuality. And most of the rubies I have are too small to see, but this is actually a star ruby that's been polished on the end, and you use it. You can't really see the star in there with this camera, but it's used, you can rub it on your temples for migraines or anywhere where you have pain. It's really helpful. And rubies are about passion, courage, and consciousness. So that's what that's about.
That sounds great.
And these cards that I have laid out are the ones that pertain to the month of July. And you'll notice the Chariot, that starts in June. So that's like a holdover from June. It goes from June to July. And on the other end, so the Chariot is about the astrology of Cancer. And then when we get over here into the Strength card, that's for Leo. And then the other cards fill in between. And what's really interesting is you have the lot of cups and the wands, and the cups are about emotions and the wands are about action and defending yourself. And I think these cards are just really excellent for what's going on in the world right now.
Boy, is that ever true.
Yeah. So I find these all very encouraging. You know, we got our Chariot going, we're moving forward, and we have our strength, and we may have some battles to face, but we're going to do okay. They're all positive cards.
That's great. That's a great way to start off this month. Okay. Wonderful. Well, let's see. As we go through July, first I wanted to give a shout out to our neighbors in Canada, because July 1st is Canada Day. So a special wishes for a happy Canada Day, especially to Dozen Cats for Me, who's in Canada, and also Andrea of Lilac Lantern.
That's right. Hey, Andrea.
I don't know how they put up with us, but they seem to. So thank you, our neighbors to the north.
Yeah, I spent every summer in Canada. My family had a cabin up there, so
really wonderful.
I was Canadian in the summertime.
Good. Okay, so since the month of June is named after Julius Caesar, we're going to see what he has to say. Our first question is, what insights does Julius Caesar have for us on what his namesake month holds for us as a collective? And I have to say that for some of these, including this, because I was hugely intimidated by reading live on Julius Caesar, I did tap in and ask these this morning. So I'm going to read what I got and then tap in and see if there's anything else he would like to add. But right away, what I saw were, this card came up a couple times today. In my head, I saw the Two of Pentacles, but what I was really seeing were those boats in the background and the heavy seas. And so it was like the boats on the heavy seas and then smooth sailing. So it's going to be a period of, it could be pretty rough, but things ups and downs, but things are going to smooth out. A time for change and instability. And he was saying, steer by your North Star. I saw him on a ship with a telescope looking out, and it was dark all around. And know what your North Star is. So if that's your trust in spirit, in your family, in God, whatever, but set your sights on your goal, whatever that is, and don't be disrupted by the tumult around you. Trust in your higher power. And then it also said, cherish the blessings at hand, the little things, the daily, the flowers, the sun coming up, the going for a swim, or just the little things, and just really drink that in, and cherish that, put love in your heart from that. And then that can help, instead of just completely obsessing about the chaos that's going around. Let's see. And then I asked, oh, okay. And so what do you have as far as Caesar's insights for us for the month of July?
Well, I'm pretty excited about these cards. Sorry, had to clear that up. Here we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very auspicious card. Pentacles are about the earth and money and finances, and she's in a very abundant garden. She's in control of her bird because the bird has a little headpiece on that kind of, lets her have more control over that bird. We have the Ten of Pentacles, great money card. I mean, look at, we've got 3 Pentacle cards, and they're all wonderful ones that are showing up here. This shows generational wealth and families coming together and being joined together. Here we have the Knight of Swords reversed, which, the swords are about air and mentality. And also, he's charging ahead, but being that it's in reverse position, I think that we're going to be facing a month where we're taking things in. Maybe August will be more about the action. We're still finding out a lot of facts, and the seas are changing. It's up and down. Every time you look at the news, things are up and down. And then when you come here at the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Pentacles, new money coming, new opportunities. I think these are, very optimistic for the month of July. And this, I see Caesar coming through, especially with this card, with the Nine of Pentacles. She looks so regal, and
yes,
like I can see her back in the day being one of his compatriots there.
And he was the big general who fought all those battles. So I could see him as maybe cautioning us, don't take things too fast. Move ahead,
exactly.
but don't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, just be, be on alert, but don't expect a big resolution this month. I think
right.
We're still fact finding, but stay positive. Look at all these pentacles. It's very, very optimistic.
Perfect. I also wanted to ask Julius Caesar, what are the most important lessons people of our time can learn from the life you led in ancient Rome? And he had a lot to say this morning when I was tapping in. And I'm just going to read this. I'm sorry that I'm not doing this live, but
I hear you.
He was saying many lessons have people are still learning lessons from my life and my exploits for good and for ill. Leaders have learned that charisma and charm and strategy can help them defeat their foes. It's fairly easy to rally people to your cause, and you give them something they want and give them something to hate, something or someone to blame for all of their perceived troubles.
Wow.
Yeah. And blaming others makes them feel elevated, and they will elevate you if you make them feel that way. And if you give them things that they'll value, give them someone to believe in and someone to hate and blame, which is a little frightening. But when you think about fascist leaders, they learned their lessons from Caesar. It also said, be bold, but watch your back. It's all been done many times since my time, many times before. Okay, what is this? I can't read my own handwriting. Or at least the biggest lesson, though, is that one can believe this. The stories one use. Oh, the biggest lesson, though, is that one can begin to believe the stories one uses to achieve one's aims. So you can start believing your own press.
Mhm.
The thirst for power is insatiable, and if not tempered, will eventually lead to one's downfall. And that's kind of what happened. So, and I'd like to say that I don't usually talk about like that, like one's this and one's that. And I've very sad to say, I've never had a world history class, so I never really studied Caesar, but that's kind of what came through. And
I was
thought,
amazed at how much I learned just by, going through my different books, and they weren't history books, but
yeah,
there's so much out there that's beyond what's in Wikipedia. Wikipedia is fine, but it's kind of limited in its scope. So
it would
I
be
know
nice.
one of the things I ran across, and I haven't found any way to verify it, but there was a a myth that Julius Caesar was actually the father of Oberon, who was the father of the fairies, through Morgan Le Fay, but they didn't live at the same time. So I'm not sure how somebody was doing something magical there.
Yeah,
It still just makes you wonder, all these little rabbit holes we can go down, right?
definitely.
I'm
Okay.
gonna move on from that question because I
Okay.
think the card's pulled for that one.
Okay.
We're good. Okay.
So next up, we're moving forward in time, but to 1964.
Okay.
The Civil Rights Act was passed on July 2nd, 1964. And it seems like civil rights, especially those of women and minority groups, seem to be more at risk today than they ever have been, or since that was passed. So I wanted to know, what's the energy around the protection and expansion of civil rights?
Okay. I remember when that all happened. I was young, but I
Yeah.
remember it was a big deal. It's like we're going through it all over again, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember that Hubert Humphrey from Minnesota,
Yeah.
my state, was very instrumental in getting that passed. And again, I saw the same card, the rough seas before coming into balance. And, like on the Two of Pentacles, it's like the juggling money. And so there's lots of things that have to come into balance, but there's going to be a major rebalancing, like things kind of had to fall apart before, so that kind of like the Tower card, that things need to come down and then be rebuilt on a stronger platform. So it's going to happen, but again, there's going to be some ups and downs, some rough seas before we get there. Ooh, what do you have?
Well, I have some interesting cards here. I see the Empress in reverse position. That's pretty obvious to me. That's Roe v. Wade being overturned, and just women's rights in general, being turned upside down. But then she's followed by the Queen of Cups, which I find very, very encouraging. That you see her cup is closed. She has a lid on that cup. It's the only cup in the whole deck that has a cover on it. So it's like, we're not supposed to see yet what's coming, but she's got an eye on us, and she's looking out for us to for what's in our best and highest good. And I'm encouraged to see the Five of Swords in reverse, because to me that's more like putting down your swords and not fighting. And swords as opposed to the wands are more about actual fighting, actual combat, where the wands are more like the threat of combat. They're not actually hitting each other or damaging each other. And then here with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, I think that the help that we've been getting, might be on hold for a bit, with that being in reverse. But it's still going to come. But it's just more about being patient. Like I said, I think we're just in that time of flux. We're in the eye of the hurricane, so to speak. But I feel very very encouraged by seeing this Queen of Cups, and especially because this is a card for this month also. So I think that gives her extra emphasis that she's there looking out for us very closely.
Right. And although I didn't really say it in the question, we are reading about this question for this month. So that kind of jives with other things that we've been talking about too. The things in time will get better.
Yeah, and the Five of Swords in reverse is about making amends and reconciliation. So I think it's just a process that we're going to have to, like you said, ride the wave. We're going to be juggling that. One moment will be up, one moment will be down, but we're going to get through it. Okay.
Great. That's reassuring.
Yeah, I don't see see a tower card or anything like that. That's going to be. I think it's more. What I really feel, and I just like to express this to everybody. Right now, it's, don't wear yourself out with all the drama. You have to just breathe, take things, one inhale, exhale at a time. And we're in it for the long haul, and stay adaptable. That's our key to success, is being flexible and adaptable.
Perfect. Great. Next up is July 2nd is also World UFO Day.
Yay!
So our question is, will the truth about UFOs be revealed to the general public within the next 5 years?
Excellent question.
And what
I have a timing deck. Should I use the timing deck for that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Try that. Okay.
You get that out and I'll kind of talk about what I got.
Okay.
What I got was not fully, but enough to make significant changes in hearts and minds. What I saw was, first I saw like a spaceship that had one beam coming out. It was hovering over somewhere above the earth, and it had one beam hitting the earth and making contact with one person. And then it switched to a spaceship that had innumerable beams of light coming down and hitting the earth and enlightening many, many people. So the message seemed to be that there's all these pinpricks of light, and pretty soon they're going to meld together, and there'll be more, just in general, more enlightenment. And if I can read my handwriting again, that acceptance will continue to grow, and ideas will continue to seep into the media, like through movies and television and novels. It will just become more part of the culture, and this pace will accelerate. So when things are revealed, people will see that it was like right in front of your, it was like a V8 moment. Oh, how did
I had a V8? Oh, yes. Like Homer Simpson.
Right there all the time. Oh, that's what that was all about. So it won't be, there are still people who are going to cling to the old ways, and just like in civil rights and in the abortion thing, they're just clinging onto the ways of the patriarchy and the old ways. And there's still people who will just not be up for this kind of change. There might be a need for some people to just have a generational shift, for those people to just kind of move along, and then the next generation will be much more open to this too. But I think that's fairly positive.
Yeah, so, we need a new batch of Kool-Aid. We need some Kool-Aid with some some deprogramming sugar in it or something to turn everybody around. But so drum roll, let's see what the card is about our timing. Let's see. It says time is now.
Woo! I like that.
I like that. I'm going to just keep it at that one. I like that. That's because I think it's happening. I know you and I have seen it in our own community, but it's like it's like this mandala. The ripples go out from the center, and it's starting with us, and it's going to become more and more mainstream. So I like that.
I like that a lot. And I was just listening to some podcast the other day, and they were talking about angels and say, remember back in the late 80s and early 90s, angels were just everywhere. And now people don't talk about them quite so much. And at the same time, I don't really remember when things like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, just lots of
Starman. I love Starman with Jeff Bridges. That was a really good one too.
And I think that was 80s, 90s too. So I think it's like they are reaching us in many, many ways, directly and also through the media. But that kind of goes in waves too, and we're in a big wave of it now. Time is now.
Yeah, and I like the way they're all lined up like that. And then we've got that planetary alignment that's been going on with, what is it, the 5 different planets that have been in alignment. So I think that plays a role too. So,
wonderful.
And I think that the work that our community is doing is helping to bring this all about, not just the awareness of it, but it's opening the communication between us and them, you know. So it's just like a snowball, you know, it gets started and we're off and running, you know.
Yeah. Okay, now we're back down to earth for our next question.
Oh, do we have to?
Sorry. For July 4th, I thought, oh, you know, there's, you know, Independence Day and all of that, but I wanted to do something different. So July 4th, 1948 was known for the Truman Doctrine. And I didn't know what the Truman Doctrine was, but it became the foundation of American foreign policy on July 4th, 1948, and led in 1949 to the formation of NATO. So Harry Truman established that the United States would provide political, military, and economic assistance to all democratic nations under threat from external or internal authoritarian forces. The Truman Doctrine demonstrated that the United States would not return to isolationism after World War II, but would rather take an active role in world affairs. So that sounded kind of interesting to me, especially about what we've been through with kind of the Trump administration trying to pull back from alliances. And now during the Ukraine war. And in fact, the question is, will American foreign policy of supporting and joining with democratic allies be successful in reining in Russia's aggression in Ukraine and in other world conflicts? So I was talking to Harry Truman, and he said, yes, the US has taken steps backwards toward isolationism. The America First movement had appeal to the masses, but the Russian incursion and the pandemic and the supply chain issues have all shown that simple solutions are not up to the task of this complex world. Our world is interconnected in ways that we've learned that have really hit home on bread and butter issues, bread and butter and infant formula and gas, and in ways that there just aren't simple America First answers anymore. And many who touted America First are seeing the need for alliances. And these alliances will grow and be useful, but also they need to be realigned to a 21st century sensibility to avoid things that have happened in the past under this doctrine, that to avoid, you know, like supporting dictators just because they were anti-communist, or having rich countries move in and profiteer off the resources of poorer countries. So the developing nations were not really helping the individual people there. So he was saying that, yes, alliances are going to be very important in moving forward to keep out authoritarianism in many ways, but it's things need to be cleaned up and changed a bit. So what did you get?
Well, another interesting set of cards here. The 9 of Wands in reverse has to do with struggling, being in a bad mood and paranoid. And I think that pretty much describes what we've been going through. You know, we're all kind of feeling that. You know, this character here, he's been through battle, his head is bandaged, and you know, when it's in the upright position, it's more about being defensive in that way, but this is more about, you know, this is like where we're at right now. We're all kind of feeling sphinctered up here with everything that's going on. Then we get to the Fool being in the reverse position, which has to do with a lack of faith, not trusting in the universe. And I think on both sides of the coin, you've got that going on. No matter who you think is at fault, you're kind of feeling that. emotion. And interesting that this card shows up in the same position and also in reverse, the Five of Swords, which is about making amends and reconciliation. So I think this shows a real progression that, okay, we're feeling this way now, but we're moving towards the reconciliation and things turning out more positive. And then what better card to end up with than the Sun at the end? Yay!
Thank God.
It's interesting that the archangels that are associated with the Sun are Michael and Metatron and Sandalphon, and it's the only card in the whole deck that all three of those archangels come through. So, and it's about enlightenment and assurance and birth and a new project, new ideas. So I find this very, very encouraging personally. I'm almost in tears. It just really makes me feel really good. The sun's going to shine on us. We've just got to have faith and keep shining our light to overcome the darkness.
That's beautiful.
Do you see anything there that I don't? Or?
Well, I'm not the card expert that you are. Sometimes I think of the first one with the wands as being isolated, as we're talking about, and kind of trapped there. And on the one with the swords, to me, it seems like disarming someone, like through strategy, and that strategy isn't working anymore. So just using force isn't working. The coming together, like through alliances, is what's going to help. And I was never so happy to see the Sun card come up.
I know. I actually got tears in my eyes. It made me so happy and joyful to see that, because I think we all need. And here, look at all the sunflowers, which we associate with Ukraine.
Beautiful. That's right.
So many sunflowers. So.
Oh, I'm glad you picked up on that.
I'm happy with that reading.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're on to the Seneca Falls Convention of 1848. We're taking our little history tour today.
All right.
July 19th, 1848. The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention in the United States, held in Seneca Falls, New York. The meeting launched the women's suffrage movement, which more than 7 decades later ensured women's right to vote. And Elizabeth Cady Stanton was one of the organizers and began with a speech on the convention's goals and purpose. And she said, "We're assembled to protest against a form of government existing without the consent of the governed, to declare our right to be free as man is free, to be represented by the government which we are taxed to support." And I thought, This rings pretty true to what's happening today.
I literally have chills all the way down, head to toe, literally, when you were talking. Like, incredibly, unusual to feel that all over.
I guess I just did kind of a quick look at Wikipedia or something like that. I guess there were about 300 people who came, and I think there were 10 resolutions they voted on, and all of them passed unanimously except for the one about women's suffrage. And here, Frederick Douglass was there, and he spoke. And after some lobbying and after his speech, they voted again, and they voted about women's suffrage. So even that seemed like too much to ask. So anyhow, the question is, what wisdom does Elizabeth Cady Stanton have for American women in this time when the constitutional right to control one's own body has been taken away? And again, I tapped into her this morning and got resolve. Be strong, be prepared for this to take, be prepared for a longer fight than you would like it to be. Women of my time steeled themselves and carried this issue for years on their corseted backs. She showed me a picture of women wearing corsets then, like with the whalebone stayed, and it's like, be strong, steel yourself. Don't despair, don't give up. This right was hanging by a thread, and it needs to be sewn into the very fabric of our democracy with thick thread and interlocking stitches, so it can never be unraveled ever again.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I saw the first stitching. So I kind of take heart with that. I mean, she saw it. When you think about 70 years, women waited from the first convention they had. And I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, but it's going to be a fight.
What brave women that came before us and did these things. And, you know, I think most of us have kind of taken it all for granted until now we're confronted with what we're dealing with. And now it's a big deal. Now it's, you know,
Yeah.
really important. And I grew up not too far from where all this happened. And you know, every now and then you'd bump into it, or when I've done my genealogy and found some relatives that are associated with all of that. And it gives me a lot of pride that these women stood up the way they did, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't just protesting and then going home and having the Diet Pepsi and putting your feet up and watching YouTube. You know, a lot of them were imprisoned, and, you know, it was a real struggle. So
yeah,
I have a lot of honor for those ladies that came before us.
Definitely. So what do you get here?
Well, these are interesting cards. Here we have the Seven of Cups in reverse position, which is about being overwhelmed with your choices and being stuck. You know, and of course, this is more in the past position, which I think is kind of, we all knew that announcement was going to come, you know, a couple of months ahead of time, and kind of hoping and fingers crossed that it wouldn't, but there it is. And we were all kind of feeling overwhelmed with that. Then we have the Four of Pentacles in reverse, which is about being greedy and having lack of control. Because here he's got the control, you know, it's in upright position. He's got control of all those pentacles, which aren't just about money. They're also earthly things. So, you know, I kind of think it shows everything's a little bit, it's been turned upside down for us. And then here we have the Five of Swords, which is a ruthless battle in discord. But it's also about people who are unenlightened. And I think that that's what we're facing. We're going to have to overcome these people who are unenlightened. That, you know, we've got to move past that. And then, you know, the final card here is the Seven of Wands in reverse. And that's about fatigue and needing help and being overwhelmed with feelings. So, you know, like I said, this isn't going to be the month when all of this gets resolved. I think these are pretty accurate depictions of what we're feeling. We know that we're in for a battle. You know, somebody's not going to just blink their eyes and wiggle their nose like Bewitched and I Dream a Genie and things are all miraculous going to turn around for us. But we can do this, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't see the devil or the tower or something horrible at the end. I just think the more that we know, you know, the forearm is forewarned kind of thing, the more that we know that we've just got to stick with this, and we got to get out and vote, and, you know, vote in the primaries. And I think that's what that's speaking to.
Perfect. Sounds
Do you
good.
see anything there that I don't?
I don't think so. But other than what you've already mentioned, that Five of Swords has come up in the same position, either reversed or upright, in at least 3 of the readings now. That's a little interesting. Yeah. But,
you know, with it being in the upright now, maybe this means there's more that we can do. Where the other time it was reversed, you know, it's like, okay, be prepared, you know, arm ourselves, like you were just saying with her, with the corset imagery, you know, get that, steel your spine, in other words, to steel, S-T-E-E-L, be strong and face what's going forward, just as those women did before us.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, July 27th is National Disability Independence Day. And I thought the rights of people with disabilities often don't get as much attention as the rights of other more vocal groups.
They sure don't.
Boy, is that true. So we're asking what kind of progress can we expect for people with disabilities of all kinds? And I actually forgot to read this earlier. So let's see. Spirit, what can you tell me about the progress of rights for people with disabilities? Okay. The disability rights people have learned from other groups, such as the people, the anti-abortion people, about using legal means. I'm seeing somebody in a wheelchair going up a curb cut, going up, and just all the basics of being able to have a curb cut, being able to have ramps, and using legal processes to say, this is the law, this is the ADA, this needs to change. And okay. But this being America, there are people who have taken that litigation and used it as a profit center, not for the people with disabilities, but for their own. So now I'm seeing scale of justice that has to be balanced out. Okay, what else? There's going to be great progress in disability rights in the workplace, and that has been enhanced by the everybody. So many people, because so many companies becoming more flexible during COVID about working from home, working from different venues, working in different ways, and so that it doesn't seem to be such a hurdle anymore. So there's progress in that way. And then I am feeling that after the midterms, that this will become, beginning after inauguration of new legislators in next January, that things will begin to move faster on a lot of fronts, including disability rights. Anything else on this spirit? Again, just the thought that we've come far, but not far enough, and that attitudes about disabilities of all kinds, both mental and physical, are younger generations and more enlightened people have become more accepting of differences. And that, again, just like with the aliens and ETs and things, it's being normalized, so that again, people will say, oh, you're kidding. People, had a hard time getting into buildings or had a hard time with jobs. So it's slow progress, but there will be progress. What do you have?
Well, thank you for that. That was very enlightening information, Joan. I like that. Here with the Six of Cups, I kind of see this as representing the disabled community. A lot of times we think the disabled are younger people. These are children that are on this card. It's about innocence and nostalgia and playfulness, reminiscing. So I think that just is representing the community. Excuse me. Then we move on to the Two of Wands in the reverse position, which it's a strategy and fear of the unknown, lack of planning. And I think fear of the unknown, I think that's where a lot of people, myself included in the disabled community, that it's all up in the air and we just don't know. Even if we have our wands at the ready, we don't know where to use them, what direction to point them in. And then here we come to the Five of Cups in reverse. And that's about a time to forgive and forget and cut cords and move forward. So hopefully we're going to reach that point where, we can let go of these fears of the unknown and focus what's the place that we want to build, not how bad has it been in the past, how can we make it the way we want it to be in the future. And then here with the Temperance card in reverse, it's being out of balance and off kilter. And, she's dumping this water back and forth between the cups. And I think we're going to be, there's going to be some of that give and take to come to the solution of how is this going to work out, that everyone is happy with the answers for that. And the dates for this card are November 22nd to December 20th. So maybe in that time period, maybe we'll see some kind of a forward movement, because that will be after the midterms.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe we'll see some progress there. Maybe she's just upside down right now just because it's unknown at this point, but if the water keeps flowing back and forth, that's a good sign. That means that things are being worked on. You know, communication is going back and forth between the two. So
that sounds good.
You know,
and maybe for temperance, maybe it's not a time to be temperate. Maybe it's a time to put the pedal to the metal.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
It doesn't have anything to do with the imagery of the card, but
well, but you know, they're only tools, and it's to help us tune into what our messages are that we're getting.
Yeah.
I love the temperance card. It's one of my favorite cards. I'm a Sagittarian, and that's the card for Sagittarius. So
perfect.
You know, but still, right. Again, no tower card, no devil card, no 10 of swords. I think we all know that we're in a time of change, and we're not going to see cards that are about stasis at this moment. It's a lot of movement.
And is it the 5 of Cups? Yeah. I can see that as from the point of a person with a disability, grief over the loss, but turn around and there's still cups. There's still cups for you. There's still
cups that are turned upright. And like it says, cut the cords and move forward, Don't whine about where we've been and what it was. What can we do to make it better? Let's focus. I think this is a big message right now, because the media keeps us so caught up in the latest drama that we're not focusing on how can we make this a better world, not just beating ourselves up over where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. That was helpful. Well, those are our questions today. I also noted, Juno, I'm going to spring this one on you. I didn't look till you told
no.
That July 1st is also National Joke Day. So since we were talking about some heavy topics.
I forgot to come up.
Do you have a joke you'd like to tell?
You do yours first. I haven't come up with mine.
Okay. Well, okay. What did the Earth say to the moon? You have to answer.
I don't know.
You're out of this world.
Oh. Good one. And me, the jokester, can't come up with a joke. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I've got one other one. This will be yours, okay?
Okay, yeah, do this for me.
Why did the scientist install a door knocker on his door?
I don't know.
Because he wanted to win the Nobel Prize.
Oh, bump.
Yes. Yes, I'm that easily entertained.
I always used to, when I was growing up, my physician, there was a husband and a wife doctor team in our town, and they were both Chinese. And it was Dr. Who and Dr. Chang. So the knock knock joke, who's there, always had different meaning in the town. It's like, oh, is the doctor here?
That's great.
But we used to laugh, at the end of a visit with her, she'd cross her fingers and say, good luck. Okay. Always on a positive note. So
that's wonderful. And on a positive note, I wanted to give my thanks to so many people who have reached out to me. As you may or may not know, I lost my husband kind of unexpectedly, on June 17th. So that's why I haven't been around a lot lately, but I'm kind of getting it back. I want to give a special thanks to who you know as Starfish HHI, Jenny, who I volunteered, and I gave her a reading yesterday. And it worked. Everything, I was able to connect. We were both in tears, and in my reading, if we're not both in tears at some point, it's just not up to my standards. So it was just heaven to have her help me realize that I can still do this. Because for quite a while there, I couldn't even meditate or anything. So because it just brings me such joy. So it'll take me a while to come fully back into the community, but I just want to thank Jenny especially, and you, and everybody who's reached out and sent me positive energy. The funeral is a week from tomorrow. And then after that, I'm going to take some time off and go visit some family, but I'll be around, and I'm getting better every day. It's, and I just appreciate this community so much. You've made it a safe place to land after something like this. So thank you very much.
Well, we have so much love for you, Joan, and anything, you know, I'm sure I speak for all of us in this community. If you ever need anything or, you know, just reach out and we're here, because I know it's kind of that up and down flow
Yeah.
that happens, but you mean so much to us and you've been such a beacon and you've been so loving to all of us. And, you know, I'd just like to extend condolences to you on behalf of this whole community that we love you. We love
Thank
you.
you.
We're glad that you're getting your mojo back and you know, take your time and do what you need to do, and we're here for you.
Thank you. I just feel it, and I feel so blessed.
Well,
So
you're a blessing to
Juno,
us.
and thanks to everyone for tuning in. And next time I'll do it without doing notes beforehand.
Oh, it's all good. And I can't believe I forgot my joke. I was just, anyway, you know, I'll have one next time. How's that?
Sounds good. We'll see you in August.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Love you guys.
Love
Bye.
you.
Happy July.